Okay, so I'm Melanie. I'm an 11th grader, and I go to Mount Pleasant High School, and I'm a bowler.
Cool. So, I mean, bowling is a sport that's not too. It's not the most popular sport, you'll say, right? I mean, you're
Yeah.
considering football and baseball. So, how did you get into bowling, and yeah, where did it come from?
Okay, well, my grandfather used to bowl, and he
Mhm.
worked at a pro shop in Cupertino at
Mhm.
Homestead Lanes. And basically, ever since I got out of the hospital when I was born, I'd go there every day. And I just started going down to the lanes, picking up balls, just throwing it. And then basically from there on, I would ask people, like, because I wouldn't like to practice alone.
Okay.
So I'd just go up to people like, hey, can I bowl with you? And that's how I kind of just started being social and bowling.
Yeah. That's cool. So, did you start off? Was it like a program, or is this all on your own?
So first off, like, I just started just practicing because,
Mhm.
you don't want to just start off,
Yeah.
in a league when
Yeah, yeah.
you don't know what you're doing.
Mhm.
But they do have bumper leagues,
Okay.
but I never actually bowled in a bumper league. I've never
Mm.
used bumpers.
Impressive.
I started right off from the get-go.
Yeah.
But then I did join a league when I was 6, and I
Mhm.
found out there's this thing called All-Stars.
Mhm.
Basically, every year they choose top so many people in, like, they have NorCal and SoCal.
Okay.
So for NorCal, they pick their top people, and then
Mhm. Is it located in the Bay Area in particular, or is it all like even north, like Sacramento and
no, I think it's in the Bay Area.
oh, mainly Bay Area?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then like we always every like August,
Mhm.
the people who were chosen, we go up to Reno, we bowl tournament,
Okay.
and then we have our banquet.
Okay. That's pretty cool. So, what are some tournaments that you've been in, for example?
Okay,
Yeah,
there's like
so-
Junior Gold, which is like
Okay.
gigantic.
Mhm.
There's SYC, this shirt I'm wearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's Youth Bowlers Tour.
Mhm.
There's like so many I can't think of. But like,
Okay.
there's just a
Yeah.
lot I do.
Mhm. And then so those are in addition to the All Star being a part of that. Then
Yes,
you
All
also
Star
have-
is also another tournament.
Okay, so it's another tournament. Okay. So what has made you so passionate about bowling? That's another question. So why do you bowl? This is another question.
Well, I
Right,
bowl
right.
because it was something that I did when I was very young. And
Mhm.
even my brother did it, my sister did it, but
Mhm.
my brother quit and my sister quit.
Yeah. Mhm.
But I usually do it mostly because it's very social. I
Mhm.
get to meet very like new people
Yeah.
from everywhere,
Yeah.
and it makes me happy to bowl, even though
Mhm.
like sometimes it doesn't look like I'm happy
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it, because when you bowl bad, you
Yeah, yeah, of
want to be
course.
happy from that.
Yeah.
But I'm learning a lot more now than I used to
Mhm.
know, so
Yeah.
I feel more intelligent.
Yeah. Okay. And you said you bowl if your whole family bowls.
Well, they bowl, but they're not like
Yeah.
competitive. Like
Okay.
my dad, like
Yeah.
he'll go bowl with me sometimes, but
Mhm.
he kind of just does it for the fun.
Okay. So it is kind of like a family thing. It can be at times, right?
Yeah,
Where
it can
everyone
be
comes
a
together
family thing.
and socially interactive. Okay. So what level of dedication, discipline does it take, like, to get to where you've been? Like, what does it take? How much time have you put into your craft?
Wow. Okay, so time, like, you have to. People say, "Oh well, I don't practice because I don't have time."
Mhm.
You have to have the commitment to make time for something that you are passionate about.
Of course.
So that is one thing. And like what's also you need to do is like just you have to learn more about it also. Like you
Mhm.
can't come into the sport like you can come in not knowing what to do, but you have to start asking questions, go to pro shops,
Mhm.
like you have to want to do it. You can't be forced to bowl.
Yeah.
So that's what
Yeah.
what makes anybody passionate. If you're forced to
Mhm.
bowl, there's no passion there.
Mm-hmm. And you started, like, when did you officially start, like, actually putting a lot of time and dedication? When would you say was, what age? At what age did you start
Okay.
putting in the most time, taking it more seriously, right?
Probably when I moved to Cloverleaf at Fremont,
Mhm.
and I just ended 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when I
Okay.
was 11, 12.
Okay. So for the
somewhere around
past,
there,
so the
15.
past 3-4 years, it's been really
Yeah, because
intense,
before
right?
then, when I just started, I
Mhm.
was bowling, but I didn't really care. Like, I'd go down bowl. I'd play
Mhm.
video games while I bowled,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I really could care less about my score. But the thing is, just
Okay.
because I had no competition.
Uh-huh.
So, like, I was always winning at Homestead,
Uh-huh.
I was like, I have nothing
Yeah.
here, I'm just bowling. But then when I
Mhm.
moved to Cloverleaf, there was a lot more competition.
Mhm.
I had to work
Yeah.
harder, and that's
Yeah.
really what happened.
Now, is there like a ranking system that is put like with bowlers, or because obviously you can win tournaments as well, but is there like state rankings? Like, is it what is it with that?
I haven't heard of people doing state rankings, but
Uh-huh.
I mean, usually people rank themselves.
Okay.
But yeah, like if you're well known, you'd say you're in like top 5
Okay.
or in the state. I don't.
Oh, okay.
For junior gold, so that's the thing with junior gold. Junior
Mhm.
gold, you compete with the best bowlers in the world,
Oh wow.
and wherever you finish, that's kind of where you are in the
Mhm.
world. I'm not really sure how to figure that out by state.
Oh, okay. But
I mean,
the
there's-
nationals, but we were talking about nationally. Is there something for that too?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
junior gold.
Okay, so that's.
Oh, like
junior
for
gold,
state, there's like Pepsi tournament.
Yeah. Okay.
There's like, there's
Mhm.
that.
What's like the average number? Because 300 is your max, right? So like 0 to 300 score. What's usually the scores that we're seeing in those type of matches, like overall?
Well, like, it depends. So some
Mhm.
people, there's called house shots, where it's just
Mm-hmm.
patterns that are just used every day, like daily.
Yeah, yeah.
And some people do well on those. Some people don't. It really depends on
Mhm.
your equipment, and it depends on how you throw the ball, your form.
Yeah, yeah.
Then there's patterns. There's long, there's medium, and then there's short.
Mhm.
Some people are better on short than medium. Some people are better on medium than short. Some people are better than long. It depends on everything that you have.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I'm guessing like bowling balls wise, like you have like a custom ball, like just do you have that, or do you just use like regular equipment?
So there's bowling companies that make
Mhm.
bowling balls. There's
Yeah.
there's Storm. There's like there's some with like 3 like Hammer, Ebonite. Like they're all different, but they're
Mhm.
all like connected to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like many different bowling companies that make them.
Mm-hmm.
And you could buy which one you want. Like, I buy Storm products because I want to be recognized by Storm.
Yeah.
When I get older, I want to bowl for them.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so that's how they get their equipment is just they buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
the way you drill it is how the ball would work.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned about like as a career possibly. Do you think this could be a career choice for you, or what is your mindset about that, about bowling?
Yeah, so I want to do bowling when I get older.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I need that. I know like bowling I can't make a live off of it.
Yeah.
Because like you don't win everything.
Yeah.
And you can't live in a house with when you don't have a tournament every single day, every single weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So like I want to go to college, major.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna I say bowling would be like a side job basically.
Okay. So like I do know there's like PBA, right? And that's
so it's PBA and then
televised,
there's PWBA.
and that's for women's, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a split. So when you're competing against all women, or is it sometimes
There's
mixed?
all women, all men, and then for some tournaments it can go both.
Oh, okay. And have you competed mostly in the women's, or have you?
Yeah,
been
mostly because they do gender, then they do age.
Oh, okay.
To make it more
under 18,
fair.
right? Under 16.
Yeah,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Okay, that makes sense. What are some lessons have you learned from bowling and dedicating so much time into this, like that you can apply to your daily life? Like, what are some life lessons you've learned from bowling?
Well, you learn that you have to relax. Whenever you do anything, you can't be pressured because you get up there and you have something in your mind, but if you don't clear it, then you overthink, which is just all bad. It's bad for school too. Like I've been through it. I've had there was one point in time where I had like a headache every single day of every single week just because of overstressing. So with bowling, you really need to calm down. You think about the shot off the approach, visualize where you want to throw the ball,
Right.
And then when you get on that approach, you just need to be clear-minded.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the biggest lesson I've learned.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to some people who want to learn how to or to bowl? Like what are the steps for them if starting young? What would you say for them if they want to go and become a great bowler?
Well, first you would probably want to find a bowling center near you, and then find a trusty, pro shop person, and talk to them. Let them see your game. You can't. It's hard to just buy a ball and and not have them see you bowl.
Yeah.
Because some people have more revs than another person, so some doesn't. Like, one person may need a ball that hooks well, another person really doesn't need the ball that hooks.
Yeah.
So if you do go to talk to somebody in a pro shop, make sure that they see how you bowl first before they even start talking about equipment that you could buy.
Another thing that just came to mind was, so you're bowling, but then you're also in school, right? And you're going to pursue college. And how are you balancing the two? Because bowling can be very time consuming.
Oh, it is very time consuming.
Right? Just with anything, right? Sports, music, whatever it might be. So how do you balance the two? And do you do more on weekends versus evenings?
Yeah. Okay. So basically my schedule throughout the week is I leave Mondays, Thursdays, and sometimes Fridays off for just school. And then Tuesdays I go practice, Wednesdays I go practice. Saturdays I have league.
Okay.
Which I have league Wednesday nights too.
Okay.
And Sundays are for tournaments, And sometimes we also have tournament Saturdays. But yeah, it's another thing where you have to make time for it.
Yeah.
If you really care for it.
So you are doing it pretty much after school every day.
Yeah, and if I do it after school, right after I finish, I go straight to homework. And
oh wow.
And then in college, I'm gonna be on a bowling team, so it'll be school, and then on that same campus, they'll have a bowling, alley. And
which universities in particular have you been looking at that offer that, or do most colleges? Because I'm not too sure about that.
Okay, well, in here, around here,
Bay Area,
they have San Jose State,
of course,
and they just got a girls team.
Okay.
But mostly in California, they've had guy bowling teams, or they don't really have bowling teams for college.
Yeah.
But the one place I've been looking at is NCA&T, which is North Carolina Agriculture and Technology. And I've been looking at that place for a while now, and I think I could get into the school, and I think I could make the team.
Okay, is that one of the colleges that is best known for that, having both boys and girls teams for that?
Yeah, well, they're well known, but there's okay, so here's the thing. Some people want to go for the top schools, there's schools like Vanderbilt, there's schools like Wichita, and those are really good bowling schools. But for me, I wonder do I want to be on a great team but sit on the bench during competition? Because not everybody can bowl. Yeah. But everyone could be on the team, I'm sure. But not everyone can bowl. So I'd rather represent a school that isn't, winning all of them, and represent them, and, make a new team, make new friends, obviously.
And even be a leader, right? Yeah. So I'm sure there's team captain, right? When you bowl in groups.
I mean, there's coaches, so I would call them team captain.
Oh, okay, you call them team captains. Okay. So there's group competitions, right? And then there's individual, right? So do you compete in both, and how much of each do you?
Well, I do probably a lot more single competition, but there's plenty of doubles, there's plenty of teams. Yeah. Yeah, this sport isn't just for one person. You bowl, and if you don't have partners or teams, they will create ones for you, and you can meet. That's how you meet new people too.
Yeah. One of the final things is, as a female bowler, is it different? Because I know you said some schools might not have a female team to offer, and how is it from your perspective, and is it different for a guy bowling, for example? And what are some of the differences?
It's tough, people say, oh, well, you should bowl, like, if you bowl against a guy, oh, you'll probably lose because they've got more revs than you or more speed than you. And it's really nothing about that. It just, you know, once you let go of the ball, you have no control over it. You know, it's just something that, you know, you put faith in. But, really, like, you know, like a pro bowler, Kelly Kulik, she's been to a tournament and she went against the guys and the girls and she won it. So it's not really about gender. It's more just about how lucky you are one day. Because, you know, some pins where they stand up when you hit the pocket perfectly. It just happens.
So would you think bowling is more of a technique sport rather than just like the person themselves, would you say, or are there some attributes you need to have?
Well, so like forms, everybody has a technique form, you know. It's a unique form. Yeah. And, you know, you can't change somebody when they work on it. Yeah. But you work around it. Yeah. So if somebody bowls one way and there's some things you need to fix, you fix small things, but you don't have to change their whole form. Like, you can't make one person look like the other. That's what makes them unique. Yeah.
What's your style? Because I know I've actually seen some tournaments on TV, and sometimes they're literally holding the ball.
Yeah, so that's two-handed. There's two-handed, and then there's one-handed.
Yeah, and then usually most of them they curve, right? So so what's your technique?
You know, I used to go like way on top of the ball, so where it just spin and go long, which isn't really what you want. What you really want to do is you want to come up the back of it to a certain point on the side, so it can go down, but then it would have like a nice roll in the back. Yeah. So that's what I've been working on.
Okay. And your form is, you're saying like you normally have the same form, or has it kind of evolved, have you say, from time?
It has really evolved. Like, I used to bowl, like, I could stand all the way to the left of the lane and hook it from the gutter to the left. Oh. It's probably because I had a really light ball and I threw it really slow. Okay. But then, you know, as you evolve and you grow up, everything changes.
Yeah. And has your grandfather, has he been the main coach for you, or have you had a personal coach? Or?
Yeah, he's been the main coach, but like recently I've been seeing other people, because one coach can only teach you so much, and you know they only know so much, and then you have to go to someone who knows more about the game now and the future. Like my grandpa, he knew more about the past, about past bowling, and he's not really caught up with the bowling it is now, because it's totally different than before. Yeah. So then we meet new people, and then that's where I get more lessons from.
And you would probably say that he's your inspiration for pursuing bowling. Would you say that? You'd be the main
and
person?
The people I meet up. Yeah. Like, I made so many friends to call family. It's a really nice thing to have. That's
really cool. So, are there any other hobbies you do other than bowling? When you're not bowling, is there anything you're doing, reading or?
Well, anything? I really wanted to try out for different sports too, but you can't really, because the games are on the weekends. Yeah. And my grandpa makes me decide which one. I'm like, okay, I'll just stick with bowling because I know I'm pretty good at that one.
Yeah. Final question, I think. Why do you think bowling is not as popular as other sports? Because obviously, I mean, there is some recognition. There is some TV bowling that you can actually see on, but for the most part, it's a widely underrated sport. So, what would you say would be the reason for that?
I'd probably say because it's not the easiest sport. There's so much math. There's so much there's just so much to learn about it, and it's hard to explain. Yeah. But like, you know, in baseball, you know, you just gotta hit the ball and run. In bowling, you have to know the lane pattern, know your ball, make sure you know where to stand, you know. And in like all these other sports, you could see the goal, you know, like in golf, you have to hit it in the hole. Right. With bowling, your target is invisible, really. The oil you can't see.
That's right.
So the whole thing about it is it's just harder to know what is going to happen because you can only see what's going to happen, and then you hope to have a good end result. So that's probably why it's not well known. It's because it's a more complicated sport than most.
Yeah. And you actually have to go to a bowling center, right? And it's maybe some people might not have as much access, right?
Yeah.
To it.
I mean, I've seen my friend Morgan. I saw her the other day. She posted on Instagram, and she was throwing the ball on her grass because she could go to the ball. Like you could find places to do it.
Yeah.
It's just you have to make sure it's not on something that could hurt the ball, like rocks. Like
Yeah. Okay. Final thing, what's the most points you've scored in a set, like all time?
Okay, so I've obviously shot 3 300 games.
Wow.
But only 2 of them have been sanctioned. 1 was in practice.
Oh, okay.
And then for 3 games, I've shot 807 was my highest.
Ooh. And for those who don't know, bowling, like how common is that, or how uncommon is that?
That's not very common. Like some people, even in like pro tour, they don't even shoot 300 sometimes in their life.
And that's just all just practicing, getting the strikes. Right?
Yeah, and it's also about carry.
yeah, of course. Well, I think that's the end of MPHS podcast. Melanie, thank you for coming on. And
thank you for having me.
Yes.